Do you love the idea of a clear content plan, but every time you sit down to map things out, you freeze, you might second guess yourself, or you feel like you're trying to keep up with strategies that never quite fit who you are as a person? Now, as we head into the end of the year and life starts to get a little bit full, it can feel far too early and far too overwhelming to think about next year. But this is actually the perfect moment to give the future you a calmer start to 2026. When you have a plan that feels aligned with your energy, your resources, and your time, not to mention your real life, everything becomes easier. You know what to create, why you're creating it, and how it supports the big picture of your business. So, in this episode, I'm going to walk you through how to build a content plan that feels doable, grounded, and flexible enough to work with you, not against you, so that you can actually begin the new year with flow and clarity with your content. Welcome to the Powerful Content Podcast, your go to source for content creation, strategy, and business inspiration. I'm your host, Mel Daniels, content strategist, coach, and speaker, empowering women across the globe to grow their business with powerful content that connects, nurtures, and converts. So, if you're ready to create standout content that gets you noticed and remembered, or build an aligned audience who love you and are ready to buy from you, you're in the right place. I believe that content has the power to connect us all. It's up to you how you use it. Listen in for genuine and insightful chats with guests, as well as practical tools and strategies from me. It's so lovely to have you here. Let's dive into the show. I acknowledge the Wongal people of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the country that I am recording from today. I recognise their continuing connection to the land and waters. I pay my respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all First Nation people listening today. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to episode 190 of the Powerful Content Podcast. I hope you are well today. Now, today I'm talking about something that makes people go a little bit, I'm not sure about that, or makes them feel a little bit queasy. And it might kind of feel like it's a little bit too early to start talking about content and planning for 2026. But, we're right on the edge of the silly season when life gets busy, routines fall apart, and your energy is probably being pulled in 10 different directions. Mine certainly is right now because, yes, I'm still hanging on to two retail jobs, which at this time of year can become all consuming. But that is exactly why now is such a beautiful moment to pause and to prepare. So you're still close enough to this year to remember what felt heavy and what felt good. You also haven't been swept up in the chaos yet that actually hits at the end of the year. So it's really about being ready. It's about giving that future you a smooth a runway when January arrives so that you can start with clarity rather than feeling like you're scrambling to figure out what to say or where to show up or worse still, not show up at all. So think of this as creating a moment that supports you rather than something you have to push yourself into. Now, I often feel that this time of year is actually an ideal time of year to stop and reflect because, like I said, you're still close enough to what's happened this year to remember what worked and what didn't. Your energy is usually naturally winding down, even though it might feel a little bit chaotic right now. So, reflection feels easier when you're winding down, and often you're taking a break from business or going on holidays. So, it's just the perfect time to really pause. And even though it can feel like one more thing to do on your to do list in your already packed life, by taking time now, I guarantee that you'll be stepping into the new year with clarity instead of chaos. And it can take less than an hour to do so. Now, before we talk about how to actually do it, let's talk about some of the myths around planning. So, when I talk about planning, a lot of myths show up. So, things like planning kills creativity, planning takes too much time, planning means locking myself into something rigid for an entire year, and planning is only for people who have everything else sorted. And do you know what? None. None of that is true. Planning doesn't kill creativity, it protects it By giving you the space to think, it frees up your mental load so that you're not constantly asking yourself what to post or whether you're even on the right track. The time you invest now, and it can be less than an hour, gives you back even more time in the coming year. There's also a deeper reason why so many of you probably resist planning. It's because it can feel overwhelming. It can feel like one more thing you might get wrong, or one more thing that might fail, or one more thing that you're not good at. And maybe you've actually tried to follow someone else's system of planning, either with content or in business, and it didn't work. So planning almost feels like it's scary or it just doesn't work. But planning isn't about getting things perfect or doing it a certain way. It's just really about creating clarity and bringing that clarity to your life. It's about supporting your energy and not controlling it. Goodness knows I have had very little energy recently, but having a plan means that I know what to create and when. And it's really about designing a business and content rhythm that works for the real life that you're living right now. And planning doesn't have to be for the entire year. I must say that I do that only because I find it really easy to do. But inside the content effect, we actually plan in 90-day cycles. So it doesn't feel overwhelming. It just gives you direction, not restriction. So that structure with the freedom of flexibility. And on that note, I really want to reiterate that planning doesn't look the same for everyone. I go really granular with my content planning. Others stay really high level, and there's no right or wrong way, which is why I always keep it at that high level at the start for my clients and my members as well. So if you're feeling resistance to planning your content, feeling like, oh, I really don't want to do this, I want you to take a moment right now to uncover why that might be. Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel like there's so much to think about that it's easier to avoid it altogether? Do you feel a pull towards perfectionism? So, waiting until it feels right or waiting until you feel ready? Are you perhaps indulging in comparisonitis, feeling like everyone else has a better process or a better way of doing it than what you do? Or do you feel disconnected from the whole thing? So, trying to plan from a place of should rather than planning from a place of alignment. If you're feeling any of these things, please know that it is totally normal. I want you to know that planning isn't about creating control or being super organized. It's really about creating a framework that lets you move with ease. It's there to be able to go with your flow and grow with you too. So, when you have a plan, even a simple content plan, things will change. You will notice that you know where you're heading, that you know what your content is for, that you feel more consistent because you've removed that daily pressure to think of something on the spot. A plan really gives you clarity and structure, and most importantly, it gives you confidence to move forward. It helps your content feel purposeful because when you're intentional with your message, you build a deeper connection with your audience. You move them through your client journey with ease, and you stop wasting energy on busy work that doesn't actually lead you anywhere. Hello, Canva graphics. So, content planning, even for just 90 days, can give you the 5 C's: clarity, you know what to focus on and why; consistency, you can show up regularly without that last minute panic posting; it gives you confidence, you trust your direction and you trust your message even more deeply; it gives you connection because your content feels more intentional and resonates more deeply with your audience; and it gives you calm. You can actually take a break without your business falling apart. So, like I say in every single episode, at some point in time, there are no shoulds when it comes to content creation or strategy. There really isn't. And that's why I will never say, this is the 5 steps that you have to take to succeed. Otherwise, you're going to fail miserably. Instead, I have and I give you a very simple framework that you can follow to make it feel more flowy for you, however you like to create. So we have the 4 Ps: prepare, plan, produce, and process. So preparation is all about looking at that bigger picture. So before you even think about the ideas or the platforms or posts, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself what worked this year, what didn't, what felt aligned, what felt heavy, what supported my goals in the best way possible. And this stage is also where you can revisit your overall business objectives. What do you want your content to do for you in 2026? Do you want more visibility? Do you want to nurture deeper? Do you want more sales? Or maybe you just want spaciousness in how you create. And your content strategy should always start with this kind of clarity. And if you'd like some guidance on this reflection process, then go ahead and download my content review guide. I use this for my own business, this exact guide every single year, because it really helps me to pause and to feel into where I want next year to be different, if in fact I do want it to be different. So once you've done this reflection process, then prepare is also about getting all of the ideas out of your head and onto paper. It's really amazing how this process can clear the clutter and really give you a good structure on how to approach your content for the entire year. And I'll be running one of these workshops live early in 2026 for members inside the Content Effect. So head on down to the show notes if you'd like to join us. So the second step here is plan. And this is what we're talking about today. This is where you turn that intention into structure. So when I do a 90-day content plan, I move through some simple steps. Start with the season. So look ahead, what's happening in your world and your audience's world over the next 90 days. No to any holidays, school terms, launches, events, or industry cycles, conferences that might affect your energy or availability to show up. And then this ensures your plan is realistic and supportive of your life, not separate from it. The second thing is to set your objectives. So, what do you want to actually achieve in this 90-day period? Is it visibility? Is it nurture? Is it sales? When you name your objective, your content becomes so much clearer and your decisions are easier, and you have a real focus on the actions that you need to take. The third thing is to decide what you're promoting. Yes, you need to sell something. So choose the offer or the lead magnet you'll be focusing on promoting during the period. And this will depend on your objectives. You may or may not have a live launch. That doesn't matter. What matters here is committing to promoting something that meets your objectives. And then just simply anchor your content around that promotion rather than trying to promote absolutely everything and totally confusing your audience. Now, the fourth step is creating a theme. So that's thinking about one, yes, just one overarching theme or message for each month inside the quarter that really ties everything together. And this helps keep your content cohesive and easier to create and easier for your audience to understand. So, as an example, I've recently created my first 90-day content plan for 2026. And January is all about intentionality and content. So this really ties in with the season, which is usually around, new year, new beginnings type thing. It ties in with my objective of brand awareness because, quite frankly, I've been a little quiet lately and ready to let go of things in 2026 to make more space in my life for you and my business. And it also relates to my focus on promoting my book, The Power of Content, which, by the way, you can get a copy of by clicking the link in the show notes. So this is when we move on to a little bit of a more granular approach to our content plan. And it's where we start turning things into action. So based on your theme, you can come up with enough content ideas for each month. And if you publish weekly, that's usually 4 or 5 headlines per month. If you publish fortnightly, it's going to be 2 or 3. And if it's monthly, it's just the one. Whichever you choose is absolutely fine. And these core pieces of content become the base that you can then reimagine for your emails and social media posts, all the other places that you use in order to be visible. So in my January example, my theme is intentions. So my podcast episodes are going to be around things like what your content really needs from you this year, or my 5 intentions to make content feel lighter in 2026, and how to begin the year with content that feels like you. Now, of course, I'm going to be totally flexible with these titles, but it gives me a really good runway of the content I can create and how everything else from social media to emails will revolve around this theme. Now, I get it that not everyone is like me and not everyone loves to create content like me. We are all different. But you don't have to have every detail figured out, just enough to create that momentum. And I've found that 90-day planning gives you that clarity that you need without the pressure of getting it right for an entire year. Okay, so that's the planning process. And then we move on to the last two P's, which are produce and process. Producing is all around where you actually start creating your core piece of content. And my biggest encouragement here is really to keep it easy. What do you love to create? Where is it easiest for you to show up? And what's your minimum viable content? And you can go back to episode 167 to find out more about creating your MVC and how it helped me personally in my business as well. Now, when you design your content around what feels natural, your voice becomes clearer and your message most definitely becomes stronger. Your core content really anchors everything. And like I said, your core content really anchors everything. Keep your rhythm flexible here. Some weeks you'll be inspired, other weeks you'll lean on your systems, and that is totally okay. And then process is that final stage where you add in the systems that keep things simple. So it might be templates or checklists or putting aside days for batching, but only if that's your strength. I'm not saying that you should do that. Otherwise, find ways to help yourself get into the content flow state. I have some standard operating procedures that I rely upon heavily to get me through the busiest periods and really keep me on track with my content flow and processes. So when you think about stepping into 2026, think about how you want your business to feel. Think about how you want your content to feel. Think about the kind of energy that you want to carry into January. So you don't need to be perfect, but a simple intentional plan will support you in ways that you may not expect. Remember though, there are no shoulds. To align your content with your life and not the other way around, and your plan should feel supportive, not suffocating. Now, before we wrap up this episode, my favorite part of each episode are the reflection questions that I can give you to help you apply what we've talked about today to your own personal life. So you can use these to journal on or just think about your answers right here, right now in this moment. The first question is, what worked well with my content this year and what drained my energy? How do I want my content to feel in 2026? And lastly, what's one should I can let go of when it comes to my planning or my content creation? As we look ahead to 2026, I want you to remember that this is not about perfection. It's really about being prepared and giving yourself that space to pause and reflect. It's about taking what you've learned this year, honoring where you're at, wherever that may be, and creating a rhythm that really works for you. So when you plan from that place rather than the I have to place, everything's going to become really light. Your ideas flow more easily and really your content is going to feel more intentional and it starts to feel like you again. And if you'd love a little guidance to bring that vision to life, let's have a 90-day content planning session together. We'll do it step by step so that when the new year begins, you'll already have the clarity, direction, and confidence you need to create content with purpose. You can head on down to the show notes to find out how we can work together. Talk soon. Thanks so much for listening. That's it for another week. To get more powerful content in your life, make sure you're following along on socials. My handle is @MELDBusiness. And just in case you're wondering, the groovy music for this podcast was created by Just Here on SoundCloud. I'd also be super grateful if you took a moment to rate and review this podcast so more amazing women like you can experience the power of content. And if you're like, hell Mel, stop talking, I'm ready to work with you now, here's how we can work some powerful content magic together. Firstly, come and join the Content Effect, my membership inspiring women with service-based businesses to ditch the content chaos and start creating stand-out content that gets you noticed and makes sales. You can join us by using the link in the show notes or just Google the Content Effect. The second way we can work together is via my one-on-one packages. We can create a sustainable content strategy or start to build out your client journey. It's up to you. Hop on over to meldbusinessservices.com.au/services to find out more. Until next time, have a beautiful week and embrace the power of your content.